Right.
Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink was all smiles with his teammates today, but his future still seems somewhat uncertain.
Honest, I'm just sick and tired of this.
The number that was put before me was 50% more than our highest paid player at the time.
Jimmy had the feeling, do they really want me here?
My determination was not to sell Jimmy to that particular club.
It made me look bad in front of the fans. It was not necessary.
The biggest single challenge is how we managed his exit publicly, which probably Jimmy didn't like very much.
He's settling into his new surrounds. The player renamed Judas Floyd Money in the Bank when he was drummed out of Ellen Road.
Don't believe the figures at all. Don't believe the figures at all.
Reading the text last night, that was nothing about money from his agent. Well, Jesus, lads, honestly.
I just think he's greedy.
The perception that people have of me, the difficult person, blah, 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 never there. Sometimes things happen for a reason.
Another day, another summer signing. The delightfully named Gerald Floyd Hasselbaink from Boa Vista. Jimmy to his pals.
Have you heard about people like Billy Bremner and Norman Hunter and things like that?
No.
You never heard of them?
No.
You'll find out about that.
Yeah, I will find out, but I never heard of them, no.
Now, they tell me you put Jimmy. They call you Jimmy and that's it, is that right?
Yes, they call me Jimmy in Portugal and that's it. I think in the beginning of the season I'm gonna learn about the English football. But I want to make the best of it and score so much goals as possible.
Well, he finished second top goal scorer in Portugal, so he looks as if he's a finisher, which we were lacking goals last season.
We'd been out to look at Bruno Ribeiro. We signed Bruno Ribeiro and Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink. It was £2 million and he was an unknown. And you think to yourself, you know, is that money well spent? Nobody had heard of him.
George Graham said to me, we've got to go down to Lisbon on the Sunday because we were going to watch this player. The player was Jimmy Hasselbaink. I remember seeing him in a very run-down, low-key stadium. You knew straight away, you know, there's something there.
And I remember looking at the back of a bus. I was looking and going, who are them two? Because it said the new attack line for, you know, as I said, the men in white. You know, and they said, who are they? And I remember looking, and it was a picture of me and Jimmy. On the other thing, I was like, oh my God. It took a while to adjust, but everyone saw he had one thing on his mind, and that was to score goals.
Hasselbaink, who loves to hit them when he gets the chance. And he's steered it into the net for the equaliser. Hasselbaink has a crack and scores!
Good effort! It's gone in! Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink has scored!
Oh, Hasselbaink might get here before Schmeichel. Goal from Leeds United. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink.
He had a natural ability to hit a ball very hard, and he had so much power. And when he controlled that power, he was like quite unstoppable.
We just realised we'd stumbled on a talent.
He's got that confidence about himself to be able to put himself out there. He wasn't shy from the get-go. We kind of made a good little pairing.
A club that I really, really liked. A city where I really, really enjoyed living, where I've made now lots of friends. I really wanted to stay at Leeds.
Jimmy wasn't sort of shy at making his feelings clear on the QT, and I remember with a few of us journalists pulled him after a game. We were saying, oh, you know, what's going on? Will you be a Leeds player next season? And he basically just said, you can bank on the fact that I won't be a Leeds player.
Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink was all smiles with his teammates today, but his future still seems somewhat uncertain. One newspaper today suggests he feels he ought to be the best paid player at the club. His response to that is brief and to the point.
It is big time rubbish. Honest, I'm just sick and tired of these stupid things.
Will you sit down with the club and talk about a new deal in the summer?
If they want to sit down, yeah, I sit down. I've got still 2 years left of my contract, so 2 years ago I signed a 4-year contract. I was happy to sign it, and I'm still happy that I have this contract. Otherwise, I wouldn't sign that 2 years ago. So, but if they want to talk, we can always talk.
If we do sell Jimmy Hasselbaink, we'll do it when we want to do it. As I speak now, Jimmy Hasselbaink will be staying here until people are told otherwise. When somebody signs for 4 or 5 years, that it is a 4 or 5 year contract, not when somebody decides that they can get bigger money and then go somewhere else that we can just clear off. That's not right.
When Jimmy arrived at Leeds under George Graham, he had a fantastic season. Scored a lot of goals. So after George Graham left and David O'Leary took over, Jimmy again had a great season. And always, if a player is a number 1 or number 2 on the top scorers list, there will be a lot of interest for him. And that was also the case with Jimmy.
We had a wage structure at the time, and of course Jimmy had come in and I say he was a relatively unknown, so he was nowhere near the highest paid player at the club. So his agent approached me and said that Jimmy wanted to go because he'd got an offer from another club in our division, told me the sort of numbers that purportedly were being offered to him.
Initially he was keen to stay at Leeds. So we told him that Jimmy was open to negotiate another deal, and David O'Leary also said he wanted to keep Jimmy in the squad. Jimmy was open for that. But after a while, it took a long time, and there was not, the figures that appeared were not very attractive. There's at a certain point, Jimmy had the feeling, do they really want me here? Because if you want me, it's not about what you say, it's about what you do.
I was frustrated from a number of points of view. The first of which is we had found him, he'd only been there a couple of years. Whilst I could have some flexibility in what we could offer, the number that was put before me was 50% more than our highest paid player at the time. So whilst I suggested to his agent that we might be able to do something, we certainly couldn't match those numbers.
Things were not right at Leeds. I wanted to sign for Leeds again. They didn't offer me the right contract. David O'Leary was the manager. I don't think that he really fancied me. He had a different picture, different future for Leeds.
Leeds sold Jimmy because Jimmy wanted to leave. End of story. I'd argue that point with him any day of the week, because he came into my office and told me that.
I was very disappointed because I didn't really want to go out of England again.
There was interest from several countries, from Germany, from Spain, and also other English clubs were looking at him.
Chelsea were offering Jimmy £30,000 a week. It was big money back then. He was earning £10,000 a week at Leeds. I'm led to believe he asked for £35,000 a week to stay at Leeds, which was, considering the highest paid player back then, probably been Lucas Radibi, who was on £19,000 a week. So the money he was asking for was astronomical, really. I think the Leeds directors felt a bit insulted.
They told my agent at the time, he's not going to an English club. He's going abroad.
My frustration was it was obviously one of our key competitors within the Premier League. So my determination was not to sell Jimmy to that particular club.
You're trying to play the bluff game. The agent is saying no, he's staying in the league. He doesn't want to go abroad.
Once we realised that we couldn't match the wages Jim was asking for, it became a business transaction. But my biggest fear, to be honest, was how we explained to the supporters that somebody of Jimmy's quality was not going to stay with Leeds United. We were just on an upward trend at the time. I didn't want to lose him, and certainly I didn't want the fans saying we've no ambition or we couldn't hold on to him. So the biggest single challenge is how we managed his exit publicly. So we had to manage that process as best we could, which probably Jimmy didn't like very much.
Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink was at St Andrews in body, if not in spirit, but the fans certainly weren't in two minds.
If he can't cope on 30 grand a week, then to be honest, let him go and take the money and let's get somebody else in and do the job and get it done quickly.
I just think he's greedy.
Don't want to see him go, but if he's being ridiculous, we don't want players who don't want to play for Leeds.
Hasselbaink, who has 2 years left to run on his contract, is quoted as saying that the hostile reception he got from Leeds fans during a friendly at St Andrews on Saturday will probably hasten his departure from Elland Road.
Well, those Leeds fans, and there were thousands of them here again tonight, they just want to see you stay at the club, don't they?
Then they have to ask the club, not me, because it's not in my hands.
The ball is in his court. We've made him an offer this club, best offer in this club's history, in line with all the players and all the top clubs around the country. But what Jimmy wants far exceeds that. So, simple as that.
Called O'Leary, I said, look David, Jimmy wants to go now. You had the chance to offer him a new contract. It didn't come to that. Restell told us, okay, if he wants to move, he needs to put a transfer request there. We did not want to do it because if Jimmy would have put a transfer request, he would not get his signing bonus anymore. We said, no, listen, even if he goes, you need to pay him that money. And at the end, they did. But it was a lot of hassle.
We were trying to make it clear that we might be prepared to listen to offers, and Atletico was the club that came in apart from Chelsea.
The moment that Atletico came in the picture, it went very quick. You know, decisions had to be made. Can you afford to let Atletico go and bide your time and wait until 2-3 days before the window closes and I can go to Chelsea? But Chelsea had also Chris Sutton in the background. The decision was for me, I want to play football. I want to be important, knowing that I'm going to play.
Richdale initially said to us, you can speak with Atletico after they showed interest. And then he turned it around and then he said, no, sorry, we need to sign another striker first. So Jimmy, we don't give you any permission now anymore to talk to Atletico because Jimmy needs to stay now. It was unacceptable for us. So we said at certain point now, Mr. Richdale, give us this permission again. If you don't do that, yes, then we're going to have a big press conference in London where we're going to tell the truth about how you treat this whole matter, and it's not going to let you look good. And I gave him 1 day to give this permission, but after 4 hours he called me that it was okay and that we could talk to Atletico.
Yeah, we sold him to Atletico. That was a challenge in itself because they had a reputation for not necessarily paying. They wanted to pay in stage payments. We managed to get the money up front because that was the only way I could trust we were going to get the cash, and that took a lot of doing. At the same time, Jimmy was still wanting to go to the other club, but we got a deal done.
I would say, don't blame the player. Who in their right mind would not take the money? It's security for life. Jimmy was just looking after himself.
The club made a great pitch to me, that they wanted me. They gave me a 4-year contract. All the stops were out. They made me feel really welcome.
We arrived at the airport there in Madrid, and there were 30, 40, 50 journalists, cameras, and we thought, oh, they come for this movie star, you know? Suddenly we see, Jesus Christ, Jimmy, it's for you.
It's always difficult losing a great player. Jimmy, for me, was always a world-class striker. Probably not talked about as much, I don't think, as to some of the other great strikers, but I was fortunate enough to play with him.
We obviously made a very good profit on him. If you just take the business transaction, not the football emotion, the transaction was a good deal because we bought him for 2 and we sold him for £12 million.
In 2 years, got 6 times their money. I was not a big earner at the time at the club. So for them, it was a big gain.
He's settling into his new surrounds, the player renamed Judas Floyd Money in the Bank when he was drummed out of Ellen Road. But stories of excessive demands were fictional, according to Atletico's new signing.
I was supposed to stay there. I was supposed to sign a new contract and feel happy. If they can ask 12 million for a player, the rest is all clear.
Were you asking to be the most highly paid player in the Premiership, as we're led to believe?
No, don't believe the figures at all. Don't believe the figures at all.
You didn't want £40,000 a week? Would have been nice, but is that what you were demanding?
That's not what I asked.
Reading the text last night, that was nothing about money from his agent. Well, Jesus, lads, honestly, if that wasn't about money, I don't know, then maybe I'm getting it wrong when he's sitting me there. A lot of you have written good articles about it. And all I'd like to say is that I've seen quotes of 45,000. I think you're being modest to Jimmy on that one, honestly. I wouldn't like to say, but I think you'd be disappointed if you're only saying that, honestly.
Did you feel you had to speak out publicly for the club?
Yes, you have, because we didn't want to sell a top player. I had one of the best number 9s that you could wish to have. It puts me under pressure then. I've got to go out and buy and put your head on the block to buy a number 9. Did we sell a bad player? No, we sold the top player.
It did disappoint me. How everything went, it made me look bad in front of the fans. It was not necessary.
the perception that people have of me, the difficult person, blah, 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 that is never there. I would have tried to find a solution.
What we didn't do is say he was a difficult character. I think we alluded to his desire for more money, or, you know, other people can put words around what you attribute to people who are just desperate for cash, and we couldn't afford it, given we'd found him in the first place. Maybe naive on my part to believe that players wouldn't have the head turned for cash. So yeah, it was difficult, and I understand why Jimmy would think that we publicly probably let him down. But you've got to manage, and frankly, I felt let down as well. We just signed him, you know, and I'd offered him 100% pay increase, but he wanted a 300% pay increase, and I couldn't afford it.
That was for me the fuel, you know, that kept me going. That somebody didn't want me, and I now had in the back of my mind, I'm going to show you what you're missing.
His form has been nothing short of sensational, fueling stories that Jimmy may join the Dutch Revolution led by the former Ajax coach Louis van Gaal at Barcelona.
It would be a nice fantasy, but this is a big club, and I don't see myself leaving on this moment. I had no relegation clause. When you go to Atletico Madrid, you never think that you're going to get relegated. That never came in my mind, and it became harder and harder.
And then there was a lot of interest. A couple of clubs moved in for Jimmy, and even Barcelona made inquiries.
I had a lot of interest. Real Madrid, they were flirting a little bit. I had Valencia, and at the time Valencia were doing really well.
Glasgow Rangers was, at that time, was a big club, and they were seriously interested, and they wanted to put an offer forward.
Dick Advocaat used to be there at the time. I knew Dick from the national team, and he gave me a few calls. Come and play with us, and it's great over here, blah, blah, blah. But with all due respect, at the age that I was, 28, at my peak, I wasn't really thinking of going to Rangers. But that decision was made for me because Chelsea came with the offer, and they were very quick.
It's true that we have made an inquiry about him. We are in negotiations, but I'm sure there are other clubs that are going down the same road. We've had, with the permission of Atletico, a discussion with Jimmy's agent.
I was calling, and the chairman, Ken Bates, was also involved in the talks, and he made clear that he was very ambitious and that he wanted to make a big club. He wanted to bring Chelsea to a higher level.
I was sitting in the back of the coach. We were driving to the Copa del Rey final the day before the game. I got a call from Gianluca Vialli. He said, look, go and play your match, do your thing. The day after, I will give you a call again, and we will have a chat about Chelsea, where I see you and what I think you can become for us, and all those little things. After the Copa del Rey final, I went on holiday. Then the deal started boiling, and the negotiations started going. There were a little bit of difficulties because Atletico wanted 15 million, and he didn't know if Chelsea was going to pay that. It was a nail-biting time. I remember going to Mexico. The first few days, it was only raining. It was raining. We stopped our holiday. We said, we can't have this. We went to Miami. On my way back from there, the deal was agreed.
The year before, he was also already interested in Chelsea. So when Chelsea moved again now and came with serious figures, they offered him a fantastic contract. Yeah, Jimmy was delighted.
What people don't understand is that the effect of Gianluca calling you, because he used to be a striker. Me as a boy now, a teenager, you're looking at the Sampdorias and the Juventus and where he's playing and how he's playing. And for somebody like that to call you and want to have you in his team, trying to persuade you why, and telling you
what I am good at and what I can bring to his team that is wow.
As his career developed, Jimmy, he became one of the best strikers in Europe. Chelsea back then were all about making statement signings. You know, they had Vialli, they had Zola. But Jimmy fell into that puzzle really well.
Chelsea was really the sexy club. Ruud Gullit started that with Glenn Hoddle. Gianfranco Sola came, Robbie Di Matteo came, and they made it a little bit special. I think they kickstart the Premier League a little bit, I think, in that more sexiness. And for me to be part of that was great.
The summer spending spree begins in record-equalling fashion for the Kings Road club as Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink returns to the Premiership with Chelsea for £15 million.
It's always a pressure when you come for a lot of money. I didn't put the tag on myself. I cannot do nothing about it.
Jimbo has proved to be a fantastic goal scorer when he was playing for Leeds. He knows what it takes to be successful in England.
Jimmy can score on the home front, but he can also score away in the European competition as well, so an added bonus. He's settled in very well.
It will be a challenging year for me.
I wasn't on the inside at Chelsea at the time, but I would imagine once they knew that Leeds wouldn't sell, they probably even struck a deal back then, and maybe said, look, go off somewhere else and we'll come for you in 12 months' time. It was one of the most inevitable transfers of that summer.
I came from Atletico to Chelsea with anger. Yeah, with anger and with pressure that I need to succeed. I need to make sure that I'm a success.
How surprised were you when he ended up back in England a year later with Chelsea?
Not surprised at all, really. I mean, you know, when somebody's sitting there telling you they want to go to Chelsea, when he came back with Chelsea, I don't know if he's told you the story, but I went down onto the touchline prior to the game, when they came off, having looked at the pitch as away teams do, and held my hand out to shake his hand, and Jimmy refused to shake my hand.
I knew that I was going to be under pressure coming back, but for different reasons, not really for the 15 million. More because I left England with all these problems and different kind of perception of me. And knowing if I don't kick it off in the first 5 games, I'm going to have the journalists on top of me. That more was playing in my mind than the 15 million. It helped in a way that we had so many characters in the team. We had Dennis Wise, we had Massa Desir, we had Gustavo Poyet, we had Frank Leboeuf. And you had to hold your own. In a way that helped me.
Hasselbaink, goal! Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink with an opening! No mistake this time! Hasselbaink, hat-trick!
Hasselbaink can get the shot away, it's his angle, it's his goal!
Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink! Happy birthday, Hasselbaink! It's his 100th Premiership goal!
We laugh about it afterwards because the story about how he joined Cardiff City and what I said to him was quite interesting. Somebody who used to supply all the footballers with their cars phoned me up and said, I think you might be looking for a striker. I've got the best striker in England who wants to join you. So I said, okay, who's that? He says, I'll hand you over. So he passed me over to Jimmy, and I said to Jimmy, well, the last time I spoke to you, you wouldn't shake my hand. So he said, yeah, I've matured since then. I said, no, you're unemployed. And he was without a club. But we laughed about it, and he joined Cardiff City, and we went to a cup final with him.
Sometimes things happen for a reason. The year before, I already wanted to really go to Chelsea. Who knows, if I would go straight away from Leeds to Chelsea, maybe it wouldn't work out for me. Sometimes the timing is a big thing, isn't it? But I came to Chelsea with a total different mindset, and that mindset might have been totally different if I went from Leeds. Learned so much, improved as a player so much. The best time of my career.
Sky Mobile sponsors the transfer window on Sky Sports News.